Luke Johnson joins us on the Farm Bureau guest line. Check out favorites.com. Go with the home team, Mississippi Farm Bureau. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday afternoon. Luke, of course, is co-host of the Eagle Hour on SuperTalk Hattiesburg and SuperTalk Laurel. Luke, got an offensive coordinator last week and a defensive coordinator today. Things are rolling.
Christmas presents everywhere for the Golden Eagles. So yeah, it took maybe just a tad longer than what everybody kind of wanted, but knew Will Hall was on it and trying to balance all that with recruiting. And he came on the Eagle Hour yesterday and told everybody that he had hired a defensive coordinator, just couldn't make it public yet. And of course that came out today. But you start Friday with the hiring of Chip Long, and this was a guy probably down the stretch when Will handed offensive coordinator duties off. Chip Long was a guy whose name just started getting just kind of surfacing kind of everywhere for a lot of reasons. He played with Will Hall and strength and conditioning coach Lance Ankar at North Alabama. He was a tight ends coach, and the pedigree's there. It was under Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, and kind of was part of a lame duck staff at Georgia Tech. And when their coach got fired midseason, he had to go find somewhere. So he's been with Jeff Brom at Louisville. And, when he was at Notre Dame in that 3-year stretch, they went 33-5 and played in the playoff berth. And so I asked Will yesterday on the Eagle Hour, I said, what's this going to be like? Is this going to be Chip running your offense or, what's that? And he said, it's Chip's show. He said, I'm the head coach now, and this is Chip Long's offense, Chip Long's play caller. This will be Chip Long's show. So I think Southern Miss fans excited about having an experienced play caller in Hattiesburg.
I have such mixed emotions, and we talked about this some when Mississippi State hired Jeff Levy. Should he call plays? Should he hand that off to somebody else? And I've always been of the opinion that if you do something really well and it elevates you to a new position, then you should continue to do that. Jeff Levy was an offensive coordinator, great play caller. It got him a head coaching job. He probably should keep calling plays. But I feel like most coaches, if they go that route at some point into their tenure, they at least attempt to hand it off. Most coaches, at least one time, they will say, I need to hand this off. Because there's so much responsibility. Was this the right decision for Will and for Southern Miss football?
I think so. I mean, I think he realized that they were a much better football team when he was, overlooking all three phases rather than just really focusing on one. And, they played a whole lot better after the South Alabama game. I mean, down the stretch. And they were in every game they played. And you wonder, if it would have happened, and he said it multiple times, he's kicking himself for not doing it earlier because you just wonder what this team, would have been. So, a lot of people, looking at Chip Long and saying, well, Georgia Tech was tough and Tulane wasn't the best, but it was just like, Southern Miss getting a guy who was the play caller during a 33-5 stretch at Notre Dame, less than 7 years ago. That's pretty good.
I certainly agree. What do you think that offense is going to look like?
I mean, what Will told us yesterday was, that Chip's been, Jeff Brom's kind of right-hand man as an analyst at Louisville this year. So I still think it'll be, Chip's offense, what he's run, what he's, there's certainly offensive players on that side of the ball. And I know he's got to be excited about, seeing what Ethan Crawford can do in an offense like that. And, seeing what kind of noise John White can make coming in January.
All right, today we get the announcement that Clay Bignell is going to be the defensive coordinator. He was most recently at Eastern Illinois, has worked in the SEC at Vanderbilt, worked at East Carolina in the American Conference. It's a young guy, but seemingly a guy that a lot of people in the coaching profession think highly of.
Absolutely, and he's played it out in Montana. Played at Montana State, won some Big Sky championships out there, was at Northwestern, and then from 16 to 19, he was at Notre Dame. So that's where he was with Chip Long. And he was under Elko, and then he was under Clark Lee. And so he went to East Carolina in 2020, and then went to work for Landy in 21. Went to Eastern Illinois in 2022. Their defensive coordinator, a guy by the name of Adam Grischik, ended up at the Saints this year. And so Big Nell took over as the defensive coordinator. He inherited about a top 65 defense and turned them this year into a top 25 team in the FCS. And they were number one in scoring defense in the Ohio Valley. They were number 18 in scoring defense in all of FCS. But the big thing I think Southern Miss fans are excited about, they were number 2 in the FCS in turnovers gained. And this is a guy like attack, chaos, really run a 4-2-5, a lot more aggressive defense, kind of what Southern Miss fans saw under Austin Armstrong. Not schematically, but I'm just saying as far as a pressure and trying to create, a lot of attacking up front. And I think Will Hall is excited about this. And I think, for Southern Miss fans, the Southern Miss approach, the last several years has been, you get somebody at the FBS level, and you see, some teams around you getting these up-and-comers out of FCS. And I think this is really, one of the times that Southern Miss has gone after a coordinator, maybe in the first time in a long time that they've gone to the FCS to do that. And so he's got, of course, he worked with Chip Long, and I think that's some of the connection with Notre Dame. But Will Hall is really excited about Big Nell.
We are in a world and in an era right now where the transfer portal giveth and the transfer portal taketh away, and Southern Miss, and like right now, is in the middle of that, right? Looking for pieces that will help bolster the roster, and have had some pretty significant contributors over the last couple of years that they've picked up through the transfer portal. But they also lose a pretty key piece on the offensive line. Talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, we got a message earlier today, and folks frustrated, maybe because it's Ole Miss, but whether it was Ole Miss or somebody else was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Jerkon Scott, leaving, and there was going to be some shuffling on this offensive line. Scott was a good offensive lineman. I just think that this coaching staff feels really good about the young talent on this roster. They did get an Eastern Michigan transfer portal guy, and the Conti kid. That was that story on College Game Day about the scholarship situation. Pretty cool story up there. But he comes in as a graduate transfer, 6'3" or 6'7", 320. Probably play immediately. But I mean, you got Luke Rogers, you got the Sexton kid, you got some guys that they think will blossom along this offensive line. And so there was going to be shuffling anyway, and I think Southern Miss probably be a little more active in the offensive line in the portal, because they have to be because of they haven't got the play that they've wanted to up front. And I think seeing what this offense could be capable of allows them they have to upgrade up front.
All right, so with Frank Gore Jr. Announcing that he's going to put his name into the NFL draft, is running back a spot that you think Southern Miss tries to be active in the portal, or is that guy on the roster or coming from the high school ranks? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you got Drake Clark, and he proved to be a very, very good runner when he was healthy this year.
Right.
Clay, but a kid that they really hoping that holds in recruiting is Jalen Washington out of Houston High School. I mean, he's good. He's really good. But will be a really good group of 5 running back. And they feel good about that position. They've got some more guys, on the roster, young guys that can make some noise as well. But I think you're going in, with Clark being a lead back, and they felt really good about him this year as a backup, as a 1-2 punch with Frank Gore. So, the way Will thinks about it, skill positions, you're always listening. You're always seeing if somebody enters the portal and, it's a good fit. Of course, you upgrade if